Su just finished her master's degree at the age of 25 this year. After the internship, she did not rush to find a job but participated in the poverty alleviation and re-education action organized by the school, and went there with a group of enthusiastic young people in remote mountainous areas. A teaching assistant for 1 year. She has been preparing for this for nearly 2 months, and she has specially found an extra-large army green backpack on the internet. In the beginning, everything was going in a good direction. There is a quiet life away from the city that she yearns for in her memories of being in the countryside when she was a child. How could she know that she was thrown out of courtesy while pulling their bus halfway through because she was hiding from the sheep that suddenly came out? I fell off the mountain and fainted because the impact was too strong. At this time, it was dusk, and everything around had begun to blur, and it was almost dark. If people continue to stay here, it will be very dangerous. Comrade Xiaosu was originally a squeamish girl who loves to cry, but now she has to sniff her nose and insist on getting up and trying to call someone for rescue. Fortunately, her oversized backpack was thrown out along with it, and the phone was placed in the side pocket of the backpack. Waiting to endure the pain in her legs when she walked to the big backpack, she took out her mobile phone but found that there was no signal. God would kill her. Su was so anxious that she shed a few tears and said, "Why am I so unlucky? I will never take a bus again." Can pull a large backpack and hold a mobile phone to find a signal. Because of leg pain and back pain, she didn't walk very far before falling. The phone in my hand was lost for no apparent reason, and I couldn't find it no matter how I looked for it. This is a halo of bad luck, right? Su can't hold on anymore, sits on the big backpack, puts her head on her lap and weeps silently, dare not speak loudly. What if a beast is attracted? "What do you want?" Suddenly there is a rustling voice. She froze for a moment, took a step back and said, "Who?" But then she thought about it. If it is a human being, there is still salvation, and there is no need to turn around without even a sense of direction, so she immediately raised a little hope in her heart and asked, "Yes, is it a human?" "Yeah." With the voice, a green figure flashed out of the grass. He was about 1 meter tall. He should be wearing a military uniform, but it should be a retro style kind. With a military green pocket and a military water bottle on his back, he looks like he's filming a drama or deliberately dressed as a cos. Su thinks, she may have met the crew of the period drama here, right? Looking at her face again, she thinks this must be a male lead, because she is so handsome. And it is also different from some small fresh meat now, except for the thin waist, it is white and tender, and it looks better than a woman. But the man in front of him, his physique is strong and his eyes are bright, just standing there is a natural sense of oppression rolling in, making people guilty and unable to look directly. Su was eager to survive at this time, and it was more important to see that it was someone who asked for help first. "It scared me to death, I just fell off the bus, and then my leg seems to be injured and I can't go far. Can you help me call someone, or find someone with a signal let me call for help?" She dared to swear that she had never been so polite, and only asked the man who seemed to have a sense of justice in front of her to help her escape the predicament. But after seeing the man scrutinize her, he frowned, and then said, "Comrade, seeing that it's getting dark, there shouldn't be anyone in this mountain. Going to the town, it's still a few miles away from the mountain, and you shouldn't be able to get there if you're injured." Su was speechless when she heard this. Isn't the whole country connected to electricity? Why do you have to go to the town to make a phone call? What a poor place! Then what should I do? She was in pain all over her body, and then she was desperate when she heard that the phone was going so far. Small village? It sounds familiar. Although he looks handsome and wears a military uniform, he is not a real soldier. In this unfamiliar place, what if something happened? Su's little head kept thinking about it, but seeing that the other party was waiting patiently didn't look like a bad person at all, plus she was probably eaten by wild animals in the mountains, why not find a place to hide, maybe they can send themselves to the village to help the poor. Thinking of this, she nodded a little and said, then, please. The young man nodded, then took the lead and walked forward, as if he wanted to lead her way. Susu reached out and picked up her backpack to follow. How could she know that this road was not easy to walk, and after only a few steps, the grass wrapped around her ankles. She pulled hard a few times but didn't move, and because the wound was affected, she hissed twice and didn't dare to move. Comrade, you can't do this. We have to go down the mountain before dark, or the wolves will not be able to walk if they come out. What? And wolves? Wolf. Then, my legs hurt and I can't walk. Susu felt that although the man in front of him had a very sense of justice, he didn't know how to coax girls at all. She was about to cry, but he still standing frowning. I'll carry you. It seemed that she had made up her mind, and the other party thought for a while before saying. I'm quite heavy. More than 100 pounds, although not too fat, but not thin. Come up. The man seemed a little impatient. Oh, that's a loot. I carry it. Will it work? Although she looks very sturdy, her suitcase is also quite heavy. However, soon she was slapped in the face. Because the other party put her on his back very easily, and walked up with the big backpack, Azahu didn't bother at all. This is too powerful, the kind of boyfriend who is violent. Susu was almost moved to tears, although people looked cold and hard, but she fell in love with this upright girl. I don't know if he is willing to make a friend or not, and maybe I can see him again here in the future. So he cautiously said, my name is Susu, how about you? Ling Huan. The name is also a bit familiar, but I don't know where I heard it for a while. She was silent for a while, her mind was spinning quickly, and suddenly a flash of light flashed. Is there a captain in your village named Lin Donghe? No, it must be the same name, right? She remembered that she was looking at an era on the bus, and there were names such as Xiaoshan Village, Linghuan, and Lindone. Then, in your village, is there an educated youth named Qin Yuiyu? Yes. The other party answered neatly, sounding a little puzzled. No, it's not. It turned out that I didn't fall into the mountains, but I was really dressed in the age. Is there such a fantastic thing in this world? The author has something to say. I have opened a new article, please collect more. Injury, fear, and the impact of wearing the age made Susu unable to bear it any longer, and she fainted in the dark. Lin Chuan felt the other person's little head hanging down to his neck and his whole body stiffened. He was 25 this year, and it was the first time he had been so close to a lesbian. However, I didn't have any different thoughts. If you have that skill, you might as well go down the mountain earlier. Today, in order to go home early, I took a shortcut, but the dangers in the mountains are only understood by people on the side of the mountain. At night, there are not only wolves but also bears. It would be a little difficult for him to go out if he encounters them, not to mention a girl who was dressed a little strangely and delicately on his back. However, Ling Huan is the top soldier in the whole region. Although he was saving people with a on his back, he still observed the situation in the village above for the sake of the reputation of the two, and when he found that no one was there, he rushed to the backer. Edge's home. The Lin family is an outsider. They moved to a small mountain village because of the flood in their hometown. He has no status in the village, but he is not excluded, but his family is relatively poor because of the large population. Lin Chuan entered the house unknowingly and really frightened the Lin family, and then looked at Lin Chuan in surprise and gave a little girl who looked like a red padded jacket to her. It was placed on the kong, and at the same time there was an extra large backpack. What's going on? Mother Lin asked while lighting the oil lamp. After the eldest son joined the army, he seldom returned home. This was the first time this year. Why did he carry a daughter-in-law? Although her son had been engaged, to be honest, she wasn't too satisfied with that girl. It would be nice if he could voluntarily carry back his little daughter-in-law. When she thought of this, she was happy. She stretched out her hand and slapped her eldest son with a smile. Okay, are you going home with your daughter-in-law? 1 or 2 or 3 little heads came over from the door, and then the 17-year-old second son said, Mother, is this sister-in-law? Lin Chuan rubbed his eyebrows and said, What sister-in-law? If I'm engaged, go back to sleep for me. Lin Hai was very worried about this eldest brother, and was busy taking his younger brothers to bed. Father Lin frowned and said, It wasn't your daughter-in-law, why did you carry it back? I picked it up in the mountains. Lin Chuan said to his mother, Her leg seems to be injured, Mother, take a look. Okay. Everyone in the Lin family is kind-hearted. When they heard that they were picked up, they knew that they might have encountered some difficulties. Since there is a problem, I have to help, my son did the right thing. So Ms. Lin immediately poured some hot water and took off the pair of small leather shoes that looked very warm to the Dekong, and she put them aside carefully and said, These shoes are full of hairs, so they must be valuable. Then I found out why these cotton pants still fit tightly to the body, the insides are also hairy, and they are elastic, so they can go up with a swipe. Oh, why is this girl so white? She is more tender than our 4th child. Mother Lin said. Lin Chuan was suspicious of this girl's origin, but when her mother said this, she subconsciously swept her calves, which were quite white. No, what are you thinking about? He corrected his attitude, and then pulled the big backpack to his side. Father Lin said, What are you doing? Do you also read the things of other girls? I'm a soldier, and her body is very suspicious of where she came from. In addition, she said the signal before, I doubt. He didn't say any more, but he didn't stop. Father Lin stopped talking, the country just calmed down, and he was indeed more rigorous in management, and his son was also a battalion commander in the army, so what he decided must have his reasons. However, he was a little unaccustomed to looking at other women's things, so he lit a dry cigarette and smoked it without looking at the box on the Kong. I see you, think too much, what can such a small girl do? Fortunately, the injury is not serious, old man, go and find the plaster I used when I was injured last year. Post this girl. Hey! Father Lin went, and Lin Chuan didn't see anything special about the enemy he wanted to see, but found a stack of portfolios, opened it and basically understood the girl's identity, and then closed the box with a sigh of relief. Mother Lin said, Well, it's not suspicious anymore. Yes. Lin Chuan didn't say much, but he still glanced at the Kong secretly, not suspicious, but it turned out to be a rare college student, which is really quite amazing. It's just that the little girl who can apply to come to their place where birds don't is really special. Thinking of this, I turned around and went out to hold firewood and cook some rice noodle porridge by myself. It doesn't matter whether he eats it or not, the college student comrade wants to eat when he wakes up. Lin father and Lin mother have no way to deal with their son who doesn't like talking, they can only deal with the little girl's injury and find her a small quilt to cover it and discuss what to do. Seeing that the sky is getting dark, and now I am afraid that it is impossible to go to the captain to make arrangements. I can only let them live here. Fortunately, after their adopted daughter is married, her small house is still kept, and so on. People can wake up and pack up for a night. Just thinking about it, the little Kong woke up faintly. Susu has now confirmed that she was wearing the chronology, and was rescued by the infatuated man inside. Lin Chuan, the infatuated male partner, is a solid soldier, and it's really not what she thought of filming or Kos. But, he was really miserable in the book. 10 years ago, the family had a marriage contract with the hostess family, and the hostess applied to come here when she went to the mountains to go to the countryside in order to be taken care of by their family. The Lin family members are also sincere. Although they let her live in the educated youth to avoid suspicion, they helped her a lot. and the heroine was admitted to the university just 1 year after her arrival and became the only college student in this area. The Lin family has been proud of this for a long time. But the female protagonist's family favors sons over daughters and doesn't pay her to go to college at all, so all her expenses are paid by the male partner. In the end, the female protagonist secretly fell in love with the male protagonist, who is the village captain Lin Dong-hee, because although the male protagonist is still the captain of the village, he is actually the head of a certain army. The son who was thrown in the village and let the Lin family help raise him during the battle will soon return to the city to live. As for the male partner Lin Chuan, he gave the heroine to read the book bitterly, and the other party said that love is free, they are young people in the new era and cannot be tragically abandoned by the old concept. And because he was too old and couldn't find a good woman, he finally found a little widow and got married. The little widow was still restless. When the heroine returned to the village to show off, she was caught cheating with others, and then the heroine and the hero were forced to die together. This caused the Lin family to be looked down upon by the villagers. The two old people couldn't stand the blow and died one after the other, and then the others left and scattered, and a good home was gone. As for the hard-pressed Lin Chuan, although his career went well, he never remarried in his life, but was always called out by the hostess to help, and insisted on thinking of him as a brother and helping her solve some problems. The author has something to say. Please click for collection, thank you. When I read the book, I felt nothing. After all, the male supporting role is the stepping stone on the road of the relationship between the male and female protagonists. Moreover, he has no sense of existence when he is not at home all day, so he naturally ignores him by watching the heroine and the hero make sugar, and almost forgets Lin Chuan, a dispensable male supporting role. But now, it was the male partner who saved her, so she couldn't help but feel a little biased. In fact, she has been awake for more than a minute, listening to the male partner Lin Chuan is cooking porridge for herself, while his parents are cleaning up their room and want to keep her here. Although she didn't know why she was wearing it in the book like this, it really made her feel a little warm that someone could send charcoal in the snow at this time. So I woke up and took a deep breath when I saw the situation of this house. It's really very poor. The first thing that catches the eye is a row of small framed windows, some of which are glass, some are pasted with craft paper, and a little wind makes a whirring sound. Then there are the two red lacquer cabinets under the window. I don't know how many years old. There are basically only a few places left with red lacquer. In addition, there are two large enamel jars, both of which are not old, and look a bit historical. The Kong is very short, she is lying on the east side, and there are piles of quilts on the opposite side. It looks like there are only 2 or 3 beds. The small quilt patches covered on her body were stacked with patches, and she dared not move them, for fear of tearing them apart. What's wrong? Looking at Shui Lingling's big eyes like a fool, he looked like he was about to cry. Mother Lin never gave birth to a daughter, and at first glance, such a lovely girl couldn't help but feel distressed. Where am I? Calm down, I can't go back anyway, first of all. Her head was empty and she didn't know what to do first, so she was pinched by the corner and was a little confused. At this time, the male partner who saved him came in, probably because of the chick complex, and he cried out when he saw him. Then he crawled over and pulled him and said, "Are you Lin Chuan?" Lin Chuan frowned at the little hand that grabbed her, but she didn't say a word when she thought that this was too frightened. It's over, it's really a book. After confirming again, she sat softly on the Kong, really wanting to jump back to the mountain again. But Lin Chuan walked over to the big backpack and said, "My name is Lin Chuan, I serve in the XX military region of XX province, and I opened your backpack because I wanted to confirm your identity, is that okay?" Su was comforted by the quilt put on by the mother Lin on the side, and then nodded, and then thought that her ID card and some things were many years later, so really is it possible? In shock, he glanced at Lin Chuan, and saw that he took a portfolio with her name written on it. The handwriting is indeed his own, but the bag he used to hold those things is clearly a very beautiful bag. How did it become a file bag? At this time, Lin Chuan opened it and took out a folded piece of paper. Su, 18 years old, graduated from XX Normal University, just graduated this year. The age is not right, but the school she graduated from seems to be the same. She didn't dare to say anything more, so she nodded lightly. Then Lin Chuan opened another introduction channel. Organize and arrange for you to come to our small mountain village for literacy, right? Hey? Can I have a look? I didn't attend any literacy classes, so you still come to a small mountain village to literacy? But when she took it over and looked at it, it was really such a letter of introduction, and her identity was clearly explained. What's going on here, not only wearing a book but also coming with an identity? Is there such a miraculous thing? Just thinking about it, Lin Chuan took out the orphan certificate, food book, household registration book, identity certificate and even income certificate. This is too complete. In short, she is really not a black family here. Oh, I'm still a college student. There are no college students in Gada in our village. The more she looked at the girl in front of her, the more she liked it, that's why the hair is still in circles. I just lay down and didn't pay attention, only to find that the ends of the very long hair are full of curls, and it looks really foreign and beautiful. Being ignorant, after accepting Lin Chuan's cross-examination, she was determined as a female college student who came to report to the literacy class in Xiaoshan village. An academic performance is very good, also know a foreign language, done translation. You can rest here tonight and report to the village tomorrow. Lin Chuan put everything back in the file bag, thinking that this girl is simply too powerful. Such education and experience must have taken a lot of hard work. After all, he was an orphan before. The orphan Suso can only be forced to admit her identity, otherwise she may be caught by the male partner for interrogation. Gently patted my head, it was really nerve-wracking. Ah! The back of my head hurts a little. She stretched out her hand and found blood on it. Mother Lin also hurriedly stood up from the Kong and walked behind her, took off the hat on her head and pulled out her hair and said, "What a big bag." I said, "Why are you confused?" "Well, did you hit your head?" "No, she is not confused, this should be an excuse for crossing over." "Daughter, do you know how you fell down the mountain? Do you still remember?" Mother Lin walked in front of her and asked. "Remember, right? Not sure. What kind of car do you remember fell off?" Lin Chuan remembered that she said it was a passenger car before, but there is no passenger car in their village, nor in the surrounding villages. Susu immediately remembered that in the book, this small mountain village was very poor, so there was no passenger car at all. Therefore, villagers usually use donkey carts or horse carts to drive the road. The ox carts are too slow and they will freeze when they go out. Generally, they are not used. It seems to be a carriage. She replied subconsciously. "Okay, don't ask my wife, let me have something to eat and rest. I'll ask Donghe tomorrow to ask what to do." And Lin Chuan also put a small table and served her a bowl of porridge. Susu was indeed a little hungry, so she drank a bowl of porridge with Lin Chuan. Then he was arranged to rest in a hut at the back, and the small Kong inside was the size of 2 people, but it was still very hot. "Thank you." She was still a little confused, so she politely thanked Lin Chuan. The other party just nodded and left, but quickly brought in her large backpack and said, "If you have any strength in your head, make a noise." Yet. So serious, obviously only in his 20s and about the same age as himself, why does he look like a little old man? But be kind, otherwise she wouldn't be saved. She was really tired. Although she wanted to check the big backpack, she always felt that it had also changed, but she had no lights and no flashlight. Lying on the Kong, she tossed and turned for a long time before falling asleep. The next morning, she was awakened by the sound of holding firewood and burning fire. My mind suddenly recalled the fact that I had worn the chronology, so I hurriedly sat up and looked around, but after all, I couldn't go back. This small warm house is very dark, with only a small window, so I don't know what time it is. She raised her hand and glanced at the watch in her hand. It turned out that it was only 5 in the morning, and she had never woken up so early. Putting on the down jacket, she walked out carefully. Seeing Mother Lin, who was burning fire in the kitchen, she cried out in embarrassment, "Hello, Auntie! How did you sleep last night? Does your head still hurt? No more pain?" Just as the male partner Lin Chuan entered the door, he carried an old-looking wooden bucket with a bucket of water in it. She quickly gave way, feeling that she was out of place here. "If you don't feel well, go to the house to rest and eat later." Yet, she just agreed and didn't move. She waited for Lin Chuan to go out before asking in a low voice, "Where is Mother Lin's toilet?" Mother Lin took her to solve it, and then came back to find that Lin Chuan put a basin on the side of the fire wall and said, "Wash your face." "Thank you, thank you. Why is this face so cold?" If she hadn't read it, she would have suspected that Lin Chuan would not welcome her. But it was written in the book that he was a cold-hearted person, otherwise he would not have carried himself back from the mountain. After washing her face, she had breakfast with the Lin family. It was the kind of polenta porridge she drank last night with some pickles, and she didn't have any appetite, so she didn't eat more. However, the people of the Lin family have to go to the brigade to work and earn work points in the morning, and everything has to wait for the brigade leader Lin Donghe to come over in the evening when he is free. As for her, she was thrown at Lin's house by herself. Not feeling uncomfortable but relieved, she went to the hut alone and opened her big backpack, and found that there was really some change. First of all, she brought 2 down jackets and 3 sweaters and cotton trousers. Most of the styles were the same as before, but the colors had changed slightly, which seemed to be the colors that were not too eye-catching in this era. Then the 3 spring outfits are the same, but the style is still very trendy here. Then came the underwear. Because she knew she was going to leave for a year, she brought 5 or 6 sets to change and wash, and the style and color didn't seem to change at all. Susu is most concerned about her wallet now. She can't lose money when she goes out alone. If it is still the original money, she will probably cry. But when I took out the wallet that was hidden inside and opened it, I was stunned, because the wallet, which was not a drum, was now very bloated, and when I opened it, a lot of small bills fell out of it. Yes, there is no 100, it is all the money of this era. Although the book is overhead, it imitates the situation of the late 1970s and early 1980s in history, so there are no large denominated banknotes, the largest one is 10 yuan. So, the more than 2,100 yuan bills that were originally in her bag have all turned into 10 yuan, which shows how crowded it is. I took it out and counted it, and found that the money was less, more than 2,000 became more than 1,000, where did the 1,000 go? When I opened the wallet, I found that NEG was still bulging. When I opened it, there were probably 20 or 30 tickets of various kinds in it. A closer look found that there were cloth tickets, industrial tickets, food tickets, shoe tickets, and even milk powder tickets. What does this mean? Let her settle down here and have a baby. Then I looked at the things in the big backpack and found that some of her toiletries have also become the packaging of the era after the changes in these applications, but when I opened it, I smelled the original things. There is also a medical kit, which can be used right now. She opened her pants and tore off the soil plaster that Lin's family had put on before, washed it with water, disinfected it with disinfectant, and then bandaged herself. Fortunately, I had the foresight to bring some commonly used medicines, at least in a short time without worrying about getting sick or getting minor injuries. Because she couldn't bear to wear clothes without changing them for 2 days, she changed into a wide long sweater, and then washed the inside with Lin's basin. When she was waiting to send it out to dry, her hands were about to freeze. She clearly remembered that it was not even winter, so why was it so cold? After washing the clothes and checking the big backpack, I closed it and put it aside, but I had $20 and 2 tickets in my hand to thank the Lin family for taking care of them. Still want to live here, because she really doesn't want to go anywhere else and doesn't feel safe. I was worried when I heard a small footstep, and then someone opened the door and entered. It was a little boy who was only about 11 or 12 years old. He was carrying a school bag with patches on his back. Seeing that Susu seemed a little cautious, he rubbed his hands and said, "Mother, let me come back in the morning to see you. What's the matter? You can tell me anything, and my elder brother will bring you a meal later. Have you eaten at noon? It's almost noon." Although this little guy will be a well-known scoundrel in the country in the future, he has only entered and exited the prison 3 times, but now he can't see it. Not hungry? Wait a moment. Susu ran back to the house, opened the big backpack and took out a bag of cakes. She originally brought a bunch of snacks, but now all of them have become cakes at this time. Peach cakes, stove fruit and the like, except for 2 boxes of chocolates, there is nothing left. She handed the cake to Lin Zhang. He looked at Susu in surprise and immediately waved, "You people in the city eat such an expensive thing, I won't eat it." But after speaking, the throat moved obviously, and it seemed quite greedy. How did this child get such a good tutor in the end? Susu put the cake in his hand without thinking, and said, "Come back, go to class, right?" Lin Zhang hesitated for a while and finally put the cake aside and ran away. Susu took 2 steps and stopped with pain in her legs. Although this family is poor, their self-esteem seems to be super strong. It will be a bit difficult to take care of them with the things they brought. I still want to live in their house, what can I do? I was a little nervous in my heart, thinking that if other powerful time travel girls should be thinking about cooking dinner for the family, after all, they also have to eat when they come back. But she doesn't know anything, she faints when she looks at the stove, she really hasn't used it. Otherwise, just stay there honestly. Although she was in a panic, she could only stay quietly, and if she couldn't, she helped sweep the floor. The ground was still soil, and it was all ash when swept away. In the end, she said a little discouraged, "I can't do anything." Lin Chuan came back and saw a little girl in a fashionable sweater pouting angrily, looking very annoyed that she couldn't do anything. In fact, shouldn't she feel that this place is very hard and the conditions are not good, so she wants to cry and go back to the city? Silently put the meal on the table, he just picked up the scoop to drink water, when he heard the little girl jump up with a loud noise, then patted her chest and said, "So it's you, scared me." Suddenly, there is a person behind the silence, and everyone is shocked. This person walks without a sound. "I ordered you a meal, eat it." Lin Chuan seldom gets along with lesbians alone. In order to avoid suspicion, he only said one sentence and went out. Susu has never seen such an honest man before. When she encounters a young girl, she doesn't even turn around and leave. It's too straight. Is it a little bad for me to eat this meal? I heard that it was a big pot of rice for the team, prepared for the people who worked in the team. She just stayed at home and someone came to deliver the meal. Is it a little inappropriate? You are here to help literacy in the village, and you are also contributing to us here. The brigade has decided that your rations will be temporarily paid by the brigade, and it will be counted as half a person's work points. Well, also, thank you. Yesterday, I felt a little confused and didn't know anything. Don't let him think too much about what he said. But the other party nodded indifferently, and then left without saying where to go. For men, it is strange that they can find a girlfriend. If this is not arranged for him by the family, he will not be able to marry a daughter-in-law at all. Most importantly, he looks handsome. In the evening, everyone came back after a day's work. Susu didn't do much except burn a pot of hot water for them, but this mother Lin was so happy that she said, "I usually come back to the cold pot and cold stove, and I will come in today. The Kong in the house is hot." Susu scratched her head embarrassedly and smiled embarrassingly, I didn't do anything. Originally wanted to send money, but thinking of Lin Jiang's self-esteem, she thought it was okay. You're hungry, second child, let's cook, the captain will come after a while. After Lin's mother finished speaking, Lin Hai went to cook. But still live seriously. Susu wanted to help, but found that she couldn't do anything, and finally just sat in the room and looked outside. It seemed that it was going to snow soon, and the sky was overcast. The male protagonist came over after a while. I have to say that the male protagonist looks much gentler, at least he is better than Lin Chuan in dealing with others. He is the son of the uncle's family. Although he is an adopted son, his uncle's family does not treat him as an outsider. He even paid for people to graduate from high school and become the most educated person in the entire village, otherwise he would not be a captain. The first thing he saw when he entered the room was the girl sitting there obediently with her ponytail flowing with Chi Liuhe. She was wearing a very new wide sweater, and her face was white and tender. Too bitter. The most important thing is those big cute eyes, they are looking at him. These eyes, no matter which man you look at, makes people unable to calm down. Fortunately, Lin Donghe had seen some scenes, but he felt that the dress of the girl in front of him could not be worn even by the biggest leader he had ever seen. Hello, is this Comrade Su? My name is Lin Donghe, and I'm the captain of the production team in Xiaoshan village. Hello, my name is Susu. She politely shook hands with this person, and then sat down obediently. I have read your document, the commune said before that a literacy teacher would come over, but we didn't expect to be a college student. There are many illiterate people in our village, and many people who are illiterate. Immediately, the work of the autumn harvest has been completed, and then everyone will have time to go to the commune to study. Well, I'll try my best. Furthermore, there is Comrade Susu's residence, can we arrange you at the educated youth point? There are new houses built in the village which are warmer, and there are not many educated youths, there are 3. Lin Donghe paused a little when he said this. And Mother Lin said, Donghe, the Kong shop at the educated youth point is very small. I'm afraid there is no place to live if my daughter goes there. Yes, it's a bit crowded. Lin Donghe nodded. Then, can I just live at my aunt's house? Susu glanced at Lin's mother, and then said a little aggrievedly, I don't like living with unfamiliar people too much. Can you stay at the aunt's house without moving? Lin Donghe glanced at Lin's mother, the second uncle's house actually has a place to live, after all, everyone knows that there is a warm house behind. But their children are many and poor, so they are not willing to accept outsiders. But I didn't expect that Mother Lin liked Susu, and felt that this girl should be taken care of when she is alone. In addition, her daughter seldom came back after she got married, and because she was not biological, she was not too close, so how could she not welcome a little girl who was willing to stay in their house suddenly? The family is from the city, so it's not bad if they don't despise their poverty. It's good to catch up, we have a warm house just for you. Lin Mu agreed immediately. Lin Chuan frowned but did not speak, but Lin Donghe said, This is not good. My brother came back this time to solve personal problems, marriage room. Lin mother glanced at her son and said, We plan to buy the house of Liaoning's family so that they can get married, and there is a care in the backyard. Yu that child is also unbearable from the city, and he doesn't want to live in the warm pavilion. Mother. Lin Chuan didn't think that his parents wanted to buy a house for him. Over the years, he knew that they provided these children to school and owed a lot of debt because of the illness of their grandparents. Pay off but have to buy a house for yourself. Susu on the side didn't expect that the plot had progressed to the point where they got married. Could it be that the male lead married the female lead when he came back this time? It's really possible. It's just that after the marriage is over, the hard days of the male supporting role will come. First of all, he and the heroine only have a banquet and do not have a marriage certificate. In this era, everyone still retains the dispensable idea of that thing, especially in rural areas. As long as you invite a drink, you are considered married, and there is no need to do anything about the certificate. So, the female lead can say that she has never been married in the future, but the male supporting role in the village thinks that he is already married for the second time. This was later married to a little widow. These are not important, the important thing is that the female protagonist in the middle and the male protagonist in front of them are having fun and have a baby. After more than a month, she felt that something was wrong, so she took advantage of Lin's mother's illness to get the male partner back, and then took off his clothes while he was drunk and slept with someone for one night. The next day, the male partner back to the army. Then she wrote a letter to the male partner saying that she was going to college, could she not want this child, and even went to the army to discuss with the male partner. So the male supporting role not only took the blame, but also suffered the pain of bereavement. In order not to delay the heroine's future, he could only reluctantly agree to her aborting the child. But on the other hand, the male protagonist blamed him for doing this, thinking that he was intentionally killing his own child. Even secretly told Lin's father and Lin's mother about it, so that they almost didn't cry to death. Martian, it's too unfair to have to carry the blame for them even if they haven't done anything. No, she doesn't agree with this marriage, it's going to be a mess. It's just that her current status shouldn't take care of this, it's a bit of a headache. Turn around and look at the male protagonist, he should be very ambiguous with the female protagonist now, shouldn't he agree with this marriage? How can this be done? There is too much pressure at home. Besides, the hasty marriage is not fair to the two of them. Lin Donghe couldn't help holding it when he thought of the figure in the threshing floor with a fist, why was she engaged so early? And if it weren't for his second uncle's family, there would still be some hope, but now, it's okay to delay it for a while. Mother Lin frowned, they knew it. But the son's vacation is only so short, and when he comes back and doesn't get married, I'm afraid it will be the end of next year or the year after. After all, they are all 25 or 66, and many of them have their second child at this age in the village. This is also impossible, she said while sweeping the Kong, but she was obviously unhappy. Su is still very good at winking, and she also reaches out to help Mother Lin with her work, at least she has booked her place, that's fine. Mother Lin froze for a while, that little girl has always been slick, she will talk when she doesn't live much, the most important thing is that she will not make a sound when she mentions marriage, she is afraid that her son will be in the future. She was at a loss. Shall I ask for you? Lin Donghe said. Lin Donghe hadn't made a sound yet, so Lin Chuan coughed and turned around to start the fire, and he didn't say whether to go or not. What does this mean? In the book, it is written that he paid a lot for the heroine, but it does not say how much he likes the heroine. I still think about him going to the hostess to find a match, and then sadly not getting married. As a result, people ran away. I was thinking about someone knocking on the door, and then someone said, "Auntie, I'm Qin Yuiyu. Yo, the heroine is here." Su was very excited, and the people looked out silently from the innermost part, thinking about what the heroine who attracted countless male supporting roles looked like. After waiting for the person to come in, his eyes lit up first, and he felt that he was indeed a very good-looking person. But after taking another look, she felt nothing. The most important thing is that her facial features are indeed quite delicate, but the loss of skin points is too serious. At first glance, I feel that she is not as beautiful as the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. Is it because the female protagonists are all beautiful and only the female supporting characters are the most beautiful? This shows that the male protagonist has vision. Would you rather choose the right one than the beauty one? Anyway, she didn't feel that the heroine was not outstanding in her appearance, but her eyes were surprisingly bright. First put it on her body, and then give her a slight smile, which will give her a few impression points, and her voice is sweet. This is Comrade Su from the city, right? She is indeed a beautiful girl. If you don't analyze the heroine in detail, there is nothing wrong, this is complimenting her. But after careful analysis, she is also a girl from the city and points out here that she is from the city. Isn't that causing differentiation? She pinched the corner of her clothes and smiled, then said, "Thank you for your compliment, my sister is also very beautiful." The heroine is actually younger than her, but Susu took a photo of her face in the morning. It is true much younger than the actual age. Should it be a time travel welfare? The soft and gentle little girl is always liked, especially the one who is not proud and has no edges and corners. So Mother Lin said with a smile, "This girl makes people feel friendly at first glance, and she is different from those in the city." Yet. The heroine stood a little embarrassed, and Susu noticed that she had interacted with Lin Chuanling since she came in. That silly boy has never moved in the kitchen since his fiancée came in. He just stuffed himself into the stove and burned himself. Mother Lin gave up the place when she saw someone coming. After all, she was the daughter-in-law of her son. "I eat red books again, I'm afraid there's something I'm not used to." Susu immediately grabbed Lin's mother's arm and shook her two charming smiles. "I don't have to go to the educated youth, I want to stay at my aunt's house." "Yes, is it? Will there be any inconvenience?" Qin Yuiyu asked in a daze. "Besides, isn't the Lin family going to discuss marriage with him? How can I get married in this place?" "I was thinking that." Mother Lin patted Susu's hand and said, "It's convenient or inconvenient, this girl will live in my house." Then she turned to Qin Yuiyu and said, "Since you are here we don't need to be told about some things. Back then, your dad got engaged to our family because he needed a guarantor to go to the city. Now you are all grown up, and my family, Chuanzi, is always in the army and can't come back, so I took advantage of it. Let's get married this winter." Qin Yuiyu froze for a moment, then lowered her head. However, she glanced weakly at the male protagonist before lowering her head, and the male protagonist clenched his fist and turned his head to the side. "It really is there, both of which are no problem." Susu was very discerning on the side, but glanced at the direction of the kitchen again. The male supporting role might have really burned himself, and he hasn't come over for so long. The three of them, Lin Hai, ran over to watch the fun, but the person who had just been burned suddenly shouted, "Go to the house to do your homework and read books, what are you reading?" The voice was quite stern. So the three boys at the door walked away aggrieved, and it seemed that they were listening to their brother. "Auntie, this matter should have been decided by your family. After all, my parents are not here. However, I will take the college entrance examination this year, so should I wait for the marriage to be done next year?" After Qin Yuiyu finished speaking, she looked at Lin Chuan who had just entered the room and said, "Quanzi, you understand the importance of knowledge the most. So, I plan to get married after college." "Which line is this? Don't think we don't know, this university will take 3 years. After 3 years, Chuanzi will be nearly 30, and we are still pointing at holding grandson." Lin the mother frowned in disapproval. Lin Chuan also frowned. It was not easy for him to take this leave, and she didn't mention going to the college entrance examination before, otherwise he would not come back. "But after you get married, you still go to college, and then I can bring you a child, why not?" "Kawako, this time you can't listen to her, you have to listen to me." "Yes." Lin's mother is a very strong person, and there is nothing wrong with what she said. However, Qin Yuiyu glanced at Lin Chuan and said, "Quanzi, you also know the importance of going to university, so I support you in college, but my vacation is very rare. I don't think it conflicts with our marriage." Lin Chuan said calmly. "Yes, but second aunt, everyone is looking forward to the people who take the college entrance examination this year to pass the entrance examination. How can you say that?" Being measured and very motivated, the old farmers in these villages would not understand her. Especially since the second aunt is so powerful, she will definitely suffer a loss if she marry into their family in the future. "Comrade Susu, you are also a person who has studied in university. Is it easy to get distracted when you get married during this university? Qin Yuiyu inexplicably brought the fire of war to Su Su, who was an audience. Su Swiba. Su smiled slightly. No, university is very easy. Although she wanted to break up the pair, she had to follow her mother Lin first. She is now a thigh that no one dares to mess with. Qin Yuiyu's eyes widened. She didn't understand where the university's saying that it was easy came from. Look, Xiao Su said so. That's how things are set. I'll buy the house in the back right away, and you can do the marriage when you're ready. Father dropped the cigarette pot, as if the matter had been finalized. The boys who were listening to the sound in the adjacent room were also happy and shouted, "Big brother is getting married, he is going to marry a bride." Shut up! Lin Chuan drank nervously, then went to set the fire again. In fact, it is normal for people in their 20s to want to marry a daughter-in-law, but they don't know that his daughter-in-law is not someone who really wants to live with him. I remember that the beginning of the story was also one night before their marriage. The young daughter-in-law who was forced to marry someone else sat in the woods and cried, and then someone handed a handkerchief. Then the female protagonist nestled into the arms of the male protagonist and told him her grievances. Then the male protagonist did not agree to take her away because of many things, and finally watched her marry someone else with distress. Su Su said that it would be better if she took the male lead to catch Jay. As long as she saw that scene, the male lead would definitely not marry the female lead, then she would be saving him and her sea of bitterness. That's it. So I listened to them discussing marriage for a while, but her stomach was upset and she went to the toilet outside. When I came back, I saw someone smoking under the tree. It was a male supporting role. It was discussing marriage and what cigarettes did he smoke there, so he walked over and glanced at him, and he couldn't tell whether he was happy or repulsive. That comrade Lin Chuan, are you not happy that you are getting married? The little girl's family care about these things, go back to the house. Who is the little girl? She has finished college. However, looking at the choking appearance of this male partner and the appearance of cowardly just talking about marriage are completely two people, he deserves to be bullied by others. Without thinking about it, he snorted and entered the house. And Lin Chuan continued to smoke. He knew that his engagement partner did not like him, and also knew that she wanted to change her life through the college entrance examination. However, since he nodded his head and agreed to the marriage, he must keep his promise. Stepping on the cigarette on the floor to death, he entered the room and continued to listen to their discussion of marriage. When it was late, he was responsible for sending Qin's hiking back, but he was a little embarrassed because the other party seemed very unhappy. Su Su jumped out at this time and said, "I'll go too, I don't have time to see what the village is like today." Yet, this time, the male supporting role did not object, so Su Su followed the female lead and walked with her. While walking, he said, "This village is quite big, Qin's hiking, how old are you this year?" "It's 22. Qin Yuiyu said. "Then you should get married. Tell me, how did you and comrade Ling Huan know each other, and how did you determine the relationship?" Women like to gossip, so she asked should be fine, right? Of course, she also wanted to tell the male partner when she asked these two sentences. The female lead didn't want to marry him at all, so she would die sooner. "Don't know when you will be wearing a green hat, you will have to be a like father. We are relatives since childhood, so we don't have any experience in love." Qin Yuiyu said a little aggrieved. "It seems that I am very dissatisfied with the relative I ordered, look at the grievances." "What? What is the age of this, and there is such a thing as betrothal?" Su Su exclaimed, then glanced at Lin Chuan behind her. He put his hands in his pockets, didn't look sideways, didn't even move his brows. So calm. Well. Qin Yuiyu was silent, but everyone could see her resistance to marriage. "Then you really like comrade Ling Huan?" Probably only Su Su can ask such a bold word, because she is not from this era, so she has long been accustomed to some things of modern people way. But this made Qin Yuyu startled. She looked up at Susu, then opened her mouth, and finally ran away with her face covered, ran away. Susu scratched her head. What anger did she say? He turned around and glanced at Lin Chuan cautiously, seeing his cold and condescending attitude. Comrade Susu, please correct your attitude. What's the matter? Susu was taken aback. Since he met the male partner, he hasn't been so energetic. How can you, a little girl, keep talking about these things? You must be correct in your style. Lin Chuan frowned. The matter is on the lips, but the lesbians will suffer at that time. Why am I not correct? Ask if you have ever been in a relationship and have feelings. What's the matter? If you don't have feelings, you just get married in such a confused way. There are still many years to come. How's your life going? Susu glared at him and stated her point of view aggrievedly. Lin Chuan opened his mouth, and finally said, it's all like this. But seeing that he turned around and left, he could only keep up. She swooped forward, and then subconsciously hugged something to keep herself balanced. Then, he put his hand around the waist of the male lead. The faces also stuck to the top of other people's farts. Really, so embarrassing. Obviously, the man in front of him felt stiff, and then a big hand reached out and lifted her up. Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to. Walk carefully. Susu really can only walk carefully, but she is afraid of falling down again, so she whispered, that Lin Chuan, can I pull your clothes, I'm afraid of falling. Lin Chuan didn't say anything. In the future, Susu, who he would not agree to, called out a straight man in secret, and when you deserved to be dumped, a small stick reached her hand. Hold! She was powerless to complain. Silently grabbed the small stick and returned to Lin's house. She complained to Lin's mother aggrieved, Auntie, I seem to be stabbed in the hand, it hurts. How did you tie it? Let me see. Mother Lin took Susu's little hand and saw that there was a black thorn on it. He took the oil lamp and pulled it out for her. It's not Comrade Ling Huan yet. I couldn't see clearly on the road. Let me grab his clothes and lead the way. As a result, he gave me a small stick that I picked up from the roadside. Susu felt that Auntie will avenge her. However, the rigor of this era is beyond her imagination. Mother Lin said with a smile, Kwanzaa joined the army when he was in his teens, and the army pays attention to the issue of style, so how could he let you get close to him casually? What should he do if it gets out and hurts your reputation? Who sees the blind? What a vision! On the other side, Lin Chuan felt that her head was aching. This little girl even came back to complain, he was obviously doing it for her good. And still so wronged. Well, next time I really have to touch the stick first to see if it will pierce my hand. Who would have known that the little girl's hands are so tender? Thinking of the feeling that the other party had just hugged her waist, she had no reason to panic, and silently took off her clothes and went to the Kong. Although it is a person who is about to get married, when he thinks of his fiancée, there is no warmth at all, but the little girl just hugged him a little bit. Sure enough, you still have to pay attention to your style. If he didn't pay attention, he was led astray. It has been almost a year since I met and communicated with my fiancé, but I have never felt this throbbing. What happened to him? No, you must not think about it before you get married. And the aggrieved Susu returned to her room at night and had to think about how to save the male supporting plan. Even if he behaved like a straight man, he felt that he might carry out the engagement to the end. It's not about love, it's about fulfilling a promise. Don't think that there are no such stupid people in the world, this era is really different from decades later. She sat on the Kong and touched her chin, recalling the plot in the book. In fact, this belongs to the heroine's memory killing. She has been complaining about how the male supporting role does not know how to take care of women. Before getting married, she was asked to tidy up the house, and she didn't help her with the work. In the end, she was asked to marry her after only $100 for the dowry. Apart from these, there was nothing, even a new quilt. But she didn't know, for these dowry gifts and quilts, Mother Lin was still in the main room at midnight and negotiated with Father Lin to sell 2 chickens raised at home, and then borrow money from others. I'm afraid it's not enough to collect 100, and then there is the issue of cloth tickets. Although Lin Chuan comes back with tickets every year, it is enough to pull a piece of clothes, and the quilt is still a little worse, and he has to pay for it. Alas, after this eldest son gets married, our second child will soon be. At that time, we can't give less than this time. I'm afraid we will have to make up for it. Mother Lin said. Come together, children are all debts. I wish I had a daughter, but it's a pity that I raised a daughter for someone else, and I won't come back for a day after I get married. Isn't this far away? Okay, I'll go to town tomorrow to see if I can exchange food for some cloth tickets. Our family's food is not enough to eat, and it will not be enough to support the old people in the future. If you don't have enough, you have to support it. At most, one person eats less for one meal, and tightens the waistband. Su couldn't take it anymore. She had to tighten her waistband for the cloth ticket. She had eaten at home for 2 days. Besides, this family is really good and treats her well. So she found her wallet in the weak light and took out 2 cloth tickets. She thought she could borrow money or something, but it seemed that tickets were less than money these days. Auntie, uncle, I have something to come in. Come on girl, what are you doing out at night? It's so cold. After she finished speaking, she saw Susu entering the house in a plush pajamas, but the house was freezing in winter. Shivered. Get to the quilt soon. Mother Lin lifted the quilt, and Susu went up to her quilt without being polite. In the rural areas of the northeast now, it is not polite to be polite. Besides, she doesn't hate Mother Lin either. Auntie, I heard in the room that you were short of tickets, and thought that I just had them in my hand and sent them to you. After speaking, she took 2 tickets and placed them on Lin Mu's pillow. He also tucked the quilt that was covering his legs. Lin Mother nervously said, how can this be done? This is your thing, Auntie, your house is in a hurry right now, and I don't need to worry about my clothes. Let's do it first, it's too cold and I'll go back to the house. Hit a wall. Oops. She clutched her nose and was about to cry. Lin Chuan's chest was hewn from stone, so hard. Lin Chuan was only wearing a vest. He had a good ear, and he heard this girl in the room to deliver cloth tickets to his house. Thinking that I can't ask for something from a girl in a foreign country, I jumped off the Kong to stop it, but I was accidentally thrown into my arms and hugged. But this girl, like a rabbit, actually got under his arm and said, I'm sleeping, it's so cold. You. Daughter, you vote. However, the door to the back room was closed. The 3 of them were speechless when they faced the 2 tickets under the moonlight. Father Lin said, let's talk about it tomorrow morning. Lin Chuan nodded and went back to the room to sleep. As soon as she lay down, Lin Hai asked in a daze, brother, what's the matter? Sleep, what are you talking about? Oh. Lin Hai turned over, and now he and his eldest brother are covering a quilt. When I encountered something outside, I couldn't help but whisper to my elder brother, brother, why did you stand up? I can only stand up for a while every morning. How can I stand up at night for 2 years? Lin Chuan froze all over, and then gave his ignorant younger brother a neck and said, if you don't sleep, I will throw you out. Lin Hai had no choice but to sleep obediently, but he didn't really want that thing at night to just stand up, it would be awkward. Lin Chuan was also directly frightened by his own. It was the first time in so many years that he had been so impulsive, and it was too late to stop him. Maybe, at the age of thinking about a daughter-in-law? Well, it must be. Fortunately, we are getting married in 2 days. He has been in the military camp since he was ignorant as a teenager, so he really doesn't know much about these things, just thinking that there will be no such embarrassment in the future. I finally fell asleep, and the next day I saw a little confused girl standing at the door washing her face. She left the door open for a while because she was going to put out cigarettes in the morning, and the sunlight hit her little face as white as jade, as if she had been treated with a layer of gold. She looked back and saw Lin Chuan, waved her hand and said, "Good morning, Lin Chuan." Lin Chuan's heart beat a few beats faster for no reason, and he couldn't help but turn his face to the side without saying a word. But I didn't know that the little girl's heart was roaring at this moment. "Big wood, smelly stone, can't you give me a smile?" Mother Lin covered the pot and said, "What's your name? Let's call it brother." "Oh, brother Chuan. So soon?" "Yeah." Lin Chuan agreed this time, but someone moved the table and put it on the table. There's not much work in the team today, and their family is just getting ready to get married. After eating, Mother Lin took out the 2 cloth tickets and returned them to Su Su. "Daughter, I know you are kind, but we can't accept your ticket. But it's useless for me to keep it. You can just put it away if you need it urgently. If it's a big deal, just return it to me later." Su Su really didn't care about these things, she didn't see them. Pass. However, these 2 sheets are too big for our family to buy these cloths. Mother Lin did not expect that this girl still has such a large denomination ticket, let alone marriage. "I am afraid that the cloth used for a year can be pulled back." Su Su took it over and took a look at it. It was 210 city feet. In fact, it was only a few meters of cloth. "Then I'll change a small one." Thinking of that, she took a 10-meter cloth ticket back to the hut, and the whole house of the Lin family was thinking, "This girl, how many tickets are there?" Lin Chuan immediately felt the suspicion of the whole family, and explained to Su Su in a low voice, "She has an income certificate, and she saved it for others. Now there are very few people who understand foreign languages, so doing translation should be able to save a lot of good things." "Oh, college students are amazing." Mother Lin said, "When your daughter-in-law is admitted to college, you have to make good contributions. By then, we will also have a college student who can save money." Lin Chuan frowned and didn't answer, but he felt that his family really thought too much. That girl has always disliked rural life. If she is admitted to university, she is afraid that she will not come back. And even if she applied to join the army, but the army was far from the city, I was afraid that she would not go there. Forget it, let's talk about it later. After a while, Su Su brought a cloth ticket of 5 city feet, and then a meat ticket, saying, "This is my own craving for meat, so I can add a meat dish that day. Auntie, don't refuse." "Daughter, how can you let us pay it back? Take it easy, I'm going to live here for a long time anyway, and I don't usually know how to cook, so I can only make your aunt and uncle suffer more." Su Su actually doesn't support a male partner marrying a female lead, but she has to do this good person first and stabilize her position before she can say anything else. "Yeah. Well, we're married." The family was talking when they heard someone coming from outside. Lin Chuan, who was still very wooden, suddenly grabbed the 2 cloth tickets and put them in his pocket, and then muttered. Everyone said, "Wealth is not revealed, and outsiders cannot be known except at home." Oh. I thought that the male lead was really dumb and stupid, but the actions and sharp eyes just now didn't look like he was stupid before. Men are multifaceted. Su Su inexplicably thinks that his actions just now are very handsome. At this time, the male protagonist Lin Donghe walked in and said with a smile, "Everyone is here, Comrade Su Su, because you are going to hold a small welcome party, why don't you come over?" "No, don't you have to trouble me." What kind of welcome meeting was held for her? Is there something else? Lin Chuan said. "It's okay, it's just that everyone wants to meet college students. It's not that our village doesn't yet." Lin Donghe said with a smile. But Su Su didn't think it was funny, but she still picked her lower lip sweetly and said, "Okay, I'll wear a coat." After finishing speaking, she went back to the room and picked up the down jacket. "Except for this coat, it's a bit exaggerated, although it's a little dirty, but it's hard to tell if you don't look closely. But when I came out, I found that the male supporting role was also following. I looked back and looked very puzzled. Lin Chuan turned his head to one side without explaining, just followed silently. Su Su is also used to it, and follows Lin Donghe all the way to talk and laugh. To say that the male protagonist does not look at living in the countryside since he was a child, but he is really unusual in dealing with people and things. And you can pick up anything, chatting with him is a pleasure. However, inquiry means too much. After a while, I asked how old Su Su was and if she had a partner. Lin Chuan in the back frowned, for fear that this little girl would be too sincere to say something that shouldn't be said. Fortunately, the distance was short, and in a blink of an eye, we arrived at the village brigade. The author has something to say next chapter at 9 p.m. After walking in, Su Su frowned, the smell of smoke in the room. She turned around and took a few breaths to get her breath away, and then saw that there were already 5 or 6 men and 2 or 3 women sitting inside, and she looked quite old. Seeing Su Su coming in, their eyes lit up, and then some stood up to make room for her, while others smiled and seemed very welcome. In the end, the Linghuan people felt that they were full of calculations, because these people were all thorns in the village. Lin Donghe immediately introduced, "This is Comrade Su who came to us to hold a literacy class from the city. She is young but a college student. Everyone welcomes her." After speaking, he took the lead and applauded. The villagers also clapped. They are probably not used to applauding, so they put it down after a few clapping. Lin Donghe felt helpless. Just taking a few shots can prove how welcome he is, people in the city can see it at a glance. Su Su didn't care, and introduced with a smile, "My name is Su Su, hello everyone." Lin Donghe said again, "Comrade Su has just come to our small mountain village, everyone is very concerned about your clothing, food, housing and transportation, so." "Okay, Captain, let's not talk about these falsehoods, I'll just start. Comrade Su, can you, a girl from the city, come to our village and endure that hardship, especially Lin? The second child has more rations and less food, so why don't you come and live in our house? Our family is just me and the old wife and 2 girls. There is plenty of space for you to live. How about you can eat rice every 7 days?" The man in his 50s spoke up. "Your family doesn't have to take turns to cook. Besides, she has to live with your paralyzed man in only 2 rooms, that smells." "Widow Zhou, what are you talking about?" The big fat man stood up, looking like he was going to beat someone. But Widow Jiao ignored her, stood up and walked in front of Su Su and was about to hold her hand, but the person in front of her disappeared inexplicably. The figure of Lin Chuan, who was wearing a military uniform, made it impossible to look directly. She took a step back in fright and stammered, "You heard it too, I am a widow, there is only 1 son and I in the family, there is a place to live, the population is small and don't go." This was not what Su Su said, but what Lin Chuan said. The scene cooled down for a while, and Su Su, who was squeezed into the corner without even a chance to show her face, had a black question mark face floating on her head. One is that he doesn't understand why these people started to rob him, and the other is that he doesn't understand why Lin Chuan, who is usually lumpy, stands in front of him and refuses to touch the woman, and even refuses for her. But, it became clear right away. Then Widow Jiao frowned and said, "What do you mean when I say Chuanzi? Comrade Su hasn't spoken yet, what are you doing for others? Get out of the way for me, I still have something to talk about." "What about Comrade Su?" Lin Chuan didn't say anything, but he just couldn't get up. Su Su stretched out her hand and pushed it but didn't push it away, like a pillar. He couldn't help but poke him angrily with his finger, but it was okay if he didn't poke, but after this poke, it became even harder, and he didn't move, as if he had turned into a stone. Widow Jiao was also angry, but she couldn't push it away from the front. "What the hell? Lin's second family just wants to keep Comrade Su at home, right? You don't think about how many kids in your family. What would you do if you starve and lose weight in the city, baby? Widow Jiao stood there with her hips on her hands and scolded. Su thought it was time to say a few words to the Lin family, but at this moment a shrill female voice said, "You can do it, Widow Jiao, and there are 2 rooms in my house. Where did you take Comrade Su to live there? You and your son share a room, so it won't delay you getting a man home. So, this Widow Zhou's style is not decent? Therefore, the male supporting role does not allow himself to touch her. Pfft, inexplicably so cute." Widow Jiao immediately replied, "Zhao Ziahua, what are you doing? When did I do such a thing? Don't say something useless, as if no one knows. Besides, your son has committed a style problem, and you brought such a handsome girl to your house. Don't you have any good intentions?" The little Zhao Ziahua said sharply. Su obviously felt that the tower in front of him was a layer higher, and then suddenly said like a thunderbolt, "Shut up. I don't know if it's because of the momentum, everyone really shut up." Then Mu'na's male partner said domineeringly, "I rescued the person in the mountains, and she will live in my house forever. Even if our family starves to death, she will not lose weight, so do you have any comments?" Grasping the grass, Su thinks she may have seen a different Lin Chuan. How did he become so domineering? Chuanzi, at least ask Comrade Su's opinion. Lin Donghe also thinks that this cousin has said something. After all, they can't call the shots. Su was finally released. She took a breath of fresh air and said weakly, "I'm already familiar with Brother Chuan's house, so I live there. Thank you for your concern, their family is all good to me." She is born with a milky voice, especially when her voice is small, she is milky and crispy. The men present felt that their bodies were half soft, not to mention how comfortable. However, since the little girl said that, they are not too embarrassing. The one named Zhao Ziahua struggled for a while and said, "I said Comrade Su, your brother Chuan is going to get married soon, so it's not good for you to move forward. What nonsense are you talking about?" Lin Chuan glared at Zhao Ziahua, making him tremble. And Su's eyes widened. How could this woman say such a thing? She doesn't care about the male partner at all. No, at first I was thinking, but then I found out that it was the man in the book and stopped. Zhao Ziahua was taken aback, and then said loudly, "I'm just talking about it. Next time, we'll see you in the commune." What Lin Chuan said was ruthless. Not only Zhao Ziahua, but also others dared not say anything. This is not enough. Lin Chuan turned to his cousin and said coldly, "Now that everything is settled, is there any welcome ceremony?" He bit the last 4 words. Damn it, the meaning couldn't be more obvious. Lin Donghe immediately shook his head and said, "No more. It's getting late, go back to eat." Lin Chuan turned to look at Su, and lifted his chin lightly. "Su." She turned around and walked in front, but she was overtaken by Lin Chuan as soon as she got outside. Although the 2 of them were walking on the road, they were separated by a distance of 5 people. No matter how much Su chased after, the distance in the middle did not shorten. In the end, she was so tired that she sat on the tree stump on one side. When he moved, he panted and said, "I'll take a break."